Today's makeup tutorial is Green Lantern. We're going to start by getting a lid of a plastic container with the right size and a medium-sized pointed brush with the green Nylon Paradise paints. I'm going to outline the lid to get that perfect circle in the middle for the Green Lantern emblem. Then with the same color, we're going to go ahead and fill out, covering the whole entire chest area, shoulders, and quarter sleeves. I'm using water to mix the Paradise paints with, but if I were to go out or use this for an event that I will be moving a lot in, I would use a either water-based or alcohol-based mixing medium. Water-based for the face and alcohol-based for the body. That'll help it stay on longer and be flexible and won't crack, and a little more smudge proof. Now I'm going to draw the neckline, starting low, but I like it better a little higher. Just looks a little bit more like a suit if it's coming off my jawline. Give everything some good coverage and then continue to do the second sleeve. I'm standing in front of a mirror while I'm doing this so that I can get everything to be even and balanced. MAC green chroma key, I'm going to draw the lines for the logo on the middle with a flat square shaped brush so that I can get pretty even lines all the way through without much effort. Again, all I'm using to mix these paints is water. To freehand the circle in the middle. If you don't feel comfortable doing this, you can find another lid with a smaller size so you can trace the border around with the brush. Now you're going to outline the torso shape with that same dark green and blend it into the lighter green with the Beauty Blender. Continue to do the other side with the brush, make the line, and then blend it out with the Beauty Blender. By the way guys, I like to use my Beauty Blender a little bit moist, not with water in it, but just a little bit damp, so everything will just blend out really nice. Starting to add some darker lines around my neck, make it look very masculine and muscular. And blending it out so that it looks more textured, almost like shadows. If you don't know where to place this, just look at a picture of the comics and you'll see where the muscles start and end. It'll give you an idea of where to place the shadows. give it a second layer of the darker green paint in the same areas that I put on before. I'm also going to add a little bit of black to it, just a little drop to make it a little bit more muddy so that it'll look more intense. I like to layer when I do color because it just gives it a more three-dimensional effect, makes it look more textured, more realistic. Basically following the same structures of my own body. Making my pecs look a little bigger than they actually are. And now with that same flat square brush, I'm going to use it on its side, and I'm going to trace a fairly even circle line all the way around with the green and black mixture. Trace the line around the neck edge so that it looks like your shirt or uniform is ending. Now with a really thin and long brush, we're going to go ahead and use that dark green paint from MAC Cosmetics, the Chroma Cake, to make the mask outline. I like to skip around, so with the black from Maron, I'm going to go ahead and start drawing my hairline where my hair is going to part. Now I'm going to leave some parts without paint because I'm going to add some white later that's going to make it look realistic. That's going to be my little signature front curl that he has. Pushing it towards the front to make that curve so that it actually looks like the hair is raised on my head. And just filling in the rest with the same black. I'm going back to the mask to let that dry a little bit and starting to fill it in and create the underneath shape. Continue to fill it in until you create the whole shape of the mask, leaving the eyes exposed because that part is going to be black. I believe this green is called Landscape Green from MAC Chroma Cakes. If you look in the description, you can find all the links to buy most of these products. Now with some white mixed with a little bit of black to make a gray, I'm going to add some very light lines with this very thin brush and kind of mix it in with some black. And then on top of it all, I'm going to add a little bit even brighter white. So I'm layering black, gray, and then white on top of that. So it starts to give it a realistic feel. Now with the white chroma cake, I'm going to fill in the lantern logo in the center and continue to fill in all around it without touching any of the green or circular borders. I don't like to layer paint. Some of you might be thinking, why don't you do the white first and then just paint the green on top? Since I'm using water to mix this, it is extremely messy. If I were to do that, it would all just turn into a light green and look very smudgy. I like very crisp lines, so this helps me to achieve that look. Once you've filled it all in, give it a little bit of a cleanup, second coat wherever it needs it to be as white as possible. Now we're gonna go ahead and clean up underneath and around the mask. I noticed that I didn't get the lines very straight, so I'm using a baby wipe to wipe off the paint and shape it the way that I want to shape it, which is more like a V on the top. Bit too rounded, so I'm gonna go back with a paper towel and dry it off so I can work on top of that again with the green. Go ahead and reshape the top curves so everything looks nice and clean and more of a V shape. As I'm working, I'm looking at myself in the mirror so that I can get a very even mask. And now with the same brush, I'm going to take black chroma cake, I think it's called black, and fill in the shapes of the eyes. Now, before I started to do this, I made sure that these shapes were pretty even in size and in angles and shape. Basically covering my eyebrows, my whole eyelids, and underneath the eyes with it. I'm using different size brushes so that I can get in the right areas without making a mess. Don't try to use one brush for the whole paint. You're gonna need different size brushes, flat ones, square ones, rounded ones, palette looking ones, pointed ones like these. I'm taking an e.l.f. black pencil, I believe it's waterproof. For the waterline, I'm doing the top and the bottom. That just makes the eyes look darker and more pronounced. My eye color also looks a little lighter. So I'm filling in a little bit with the green with a more detailed, smaller brush. And cleaning up the lines underneath and around the mask. Using that same brush with the black paint to add a little bit more depth in the center where the hair is supposed to be growing out of. Make that a little bit darker, and my little curl there a little bit darker. Very nice. Now with a little bit of black paint and the Beauty Blender, I'm gonna blend in, contour the nose a little bit, kind of dirty the mask a little bit, giving it a little bit of shadows to give it texture and make it look a little bit more real, more comic-like. If it's too clean and polished, it looks flat and fake. So I like to dirty it up, give it shadows everywhere I can. Shadows and highlights. Now with a very fine, long hair brush, I'm going to use this very carefully to go and make the border all around the mask. I'm doing it freehand because I want it to be a mixture of thin and thick lines so that it looks more realistic. It also gives the effect that it's more raised in certain areas. So now with the black, the square brush, I'm going to go ahead and create some more shadows on the chest pectoral area. Now I'm going to grab the Too Faced Born This Way Concealer Foundation in Golden Beige, and I'm going to go ahead and use it to highlight and make my skin look a little bit more like comic book. So this color happens to be a little bit more yellow than my skin tone. It just gives it a whole new effect. Just going to smudge it out. Make my skin fairly flawless and a little more fake. By the way, I was FaceTime living this as I was recording, so you'll see me talking to people. Adding the same foundation to the top, kind of cleaning up around the hairline and around the mask to make everything look nice and crisp. My skin look flawless. I'm not using a lot because I don't want it to be too thick around those areas, and I don't know what to do with the product, the extra product. Clean off the neck area and then add a little bit of foundation there too to make it look nice and crisp. With the black and a long brush, mid-sized brush, I'm gonna outline the border of the collar fairly thick so that you can see that that's where it ends. And blend it out a little bit. Now with the Too Faced concealer again in the cocoa color, I'm going to use that to contour and make the sides of my face look a little bit more masculine and squared off. My face is very round, so I have to kind of square it off a little bit. I'm just using a foundation brush for this, and I'm going to use the beige color again in between there and my jawline, just to kind of blend it in and make it lighter towards the bottom. Now with a powder puff and a little bit of Makeup Forever HD powder, I'm going to go ahead and pat it, and so it blends it out a little bit more. The mid-size pointed brush, I'm going to take some more black, and I'm going to go ahead and do another little layer of black on the hairline and on the eyes. a hover lip liner from MAC Cosmetics. I'm going to go ahead and line the top of my lip and extend it a little bit and fill in the whole bottom of my lip. I like this color because it's very carnal, kind of like it's meaty, but it's very neutral. It's like a masculine nude color, if there is such a thing. Go back with the black brush and clean up that little curl in the front of my head. And after that, with a medium-sized, long, pointy brush, I'm going to take some more white and add an extra layer on the top here of the head, so the hair looks nice and shiny, as if it was real hair or real light hitting it. And I'm going to do that around the head. Kind of giving the effect as if it was wavy. Very 1940s. Now I'm going back in with a little bit of gray, just to give it a little bit more life. With the same gray and the same brush, I'm going to go ahead and give some shadows on the white of the logo and the front of the chest. And now with that square palette large brush, I'm going to go ahead and paint the side panels of the torso, which is all black. For this I'm using the black from Maron. It's a little bit more matte than the Chroma Cake. Now just replicate the same shape on the other side and fill it all in with the black. You're going to go ahead and with a large size brush, fill in the whole center piece of your stomach with the landscape green Chroma Cake. We're going to start to give shape to the abdominal muscles with a little black and the Beauty Blender. Start creating some light shadows all around the six-pack, or to create six packs. So it's almost like a paint and smudge away technique. Look at those six packs. Well, I got an 8-pack there. Now start to layer it to give it a more three-dimensional effect. And I'm going to replicate those shadows all around the pecs to make my chest look a little more ripped, and into that logo area so that it does look like I'm wearing it. Looking good. Next, I'm going to mark off where the gloves are going to start. The gloves are white, so from the sleeve, the green sleeve, all the way to where the glove starts, that's going to all be filled in with black. Finish off the other arm. Sharpening off some edges, we're ready for the white gloves. Now I have a lot of hair on my arms, so ideally this is best when you are completely shaved and smooth, so it will look like rubber. But with the texture of the hair, I mean, you can barely see it, but it just gives texture that you don't really want. And voila, it is done. I'm using the white to give a little bit of highlights around the black parts. This will make it look a little bit more weathered, textured, and more realistic. Do the same thing on the abs. Give a little highlight, make them look a little bit more chiseled. And on the sides of the torso on the black. And do the other highlight on the other arm. Now we're going to do some grayish highlights on the pecs area and around the shoulders, all over the green part of the torso. Just makes it look a little more like a comic book, a little more weathered, more realistic. I wasn't going to do the other arm, but I figured I wasn't going to look complete if I didn't. that's complete, you're gonna add some large strokes down the arm length on the white with a little bit of a light gray, just to give it a little bit of definition and some shading. See that? I'll stop for a selfie. Or two, or three. Now I'm going to dry brush some greenish gold pigment, loose pigment, just to give it a little bit of a shimmer, a little metallic effect as a highlight on the green areas of the chest piece, including the logo. And on the mask as well. On the cheekbones, on the nose plane, and on top of the brows. Shoulders, clavicle, and neck. And of course, my amazing abs allure. On the white parts, I'm using a white gold pigment to give a little bit of reflection, and I'm extending it to the black parts just to make it look a little more smoky and gray. These pigments are generic. I bought them online. They're safe for the body, but they don't really have a brand. Selfies, and we are done, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial of Green Lantern, and I hope you come back and see me again. Thank you for watching. Check out my website at www.makeupartbygaston.com and make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video. Thank you for watching.